Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to balmy Boston. Over 40 degrees warmer than it was at the end of Wednesday's game, a 3-2 victory for your Beacons. The Beacons looking for their second win of the week. So is Johnson and Wales, the team out of Providence. The Wildcats coming in at 4-2, UMass Boston at 3-2. These two teams playing for the third time in the past 4 seasons. UMass Boston defeated Johnson and Wales in the first ever game at the varsity level for the Wildcats 4 seasons ago, last year in Providence at Miracle Grove Field. That's corporate sponsorship at its finest. It was Johnson and Wales earning a comeback 10-9 victory, and now for the first time ever, these two teams meeting in Boston. UMass Boston in their home whites, going from left to right on your computer screen. Johnson and Wales with the road blues with the gold numbers and white trim as UMass Boston controls on the near side. It's Will Christensen, the Salisbury University transfer, and we're just underway here at James Cotter Field. My name is Seth Lorensky, bringing you the action in this one. Sorry for the late start. Had a lot of other things going on right before game time, but we're live just in time. And the Beacons enjoying the warmer weather. A lot of guys who were in several layers the other day, wearing a little bit less clothing and hopefully going to be banged up a little bit less with the much warmer temperatures. There was supposed to be rain tonight, but that even cleared away. It's a perfect night for lacrosse. So these two teams both gearing up for conference play. The Beacons will start conference play 8 days from today, their 4th game of this 4-game homestand. Next Saturday, a 1 o'clock start against Western Connecticut State, controlled by UMass Boston. It's Mike Mulligan who had the game winner the other day, and he's stopped in net. The first look of the day for Bradley Morris, the freshman goalie out of Bayport, New York. Morris, who has played incredibly well the last 3 games, 52 saves and 35 1 during that span, picks up his first save of the game. Morris in net. For the Wildcats, for the Beacons, it's Alex Surette, another freshman. Surette, freshman goalie out of Melrose, Massachusetts, helped that program to their best ever season. A chance in here, and that one is high over the net. Surette couldn't make a play on that one. Thomas Lyons has an early look from the near side. Surette got the win, making 9 saves on 11 shots against Riviera University in the lowest scoring game in UMass Boston program history that dates back to 1982. Providence with the ball behind the net, trying to get something going straight out top. It's Lyons once again, off the back of a Beacon and out of play. Getting his body in the way that time was Matt Murphy, the sophomore out of Watertown, Mass. Providence will keep control just under 2 minutes in. Still scoreless between these two non-conference foes. It's controlled by Providence, working along the goal line, looking to feed it back up top. Instead, they go below the goal line to Max Stone, one of the team's top goal scorers. Stone up top, nearly threw it away there. Ben Farrelly will make the save, and a shot from the far side. Max Stone, his first goal of the game, the first team GNAC all-conference performer from a year ago, picks up his 18th goal. He's had a hat trick in his last 5 games after not playing in the opener, and now give him a team-high 18 goals and 20 points as he gets the Wildcats on the board early here. Johnson and Wales has scored at least 11 goals in each of their past 3 games. In fact, each of their past 2 games, actually 3 games, have ended in identical scorelines, 13-11, 13-11, 13-11. A victory over Eastern Connecticut State, followed by a loss to New England College, a team the Beacons defeated on opening day 12-11 here in Boston, and then a win the other night at Mount St. Mary of New York by a 13-11 score, in a wild one in which both teams gave up big leads. Johnson and Wales wins the faceoff, and they'll look to add to their lead. 12-14 left in this first quarter. The lone goal coming from Max Stone, the junior out of Burlington, Connecticut. Stone with it on the near side, being badgered by one of the Beacons' long stick defenders. That's Derek DP and DP Trantonio. Behind the net, it's the diminutive Eric Russo, another one of the team's top scorers, 16 goals, good for second best. To the far side, they send it right back below the cage, and that pass from Stone's going to come all the way out towards midfield, waiting for it are a pair of players, and a great job racing back by Brian Hillenbrand to keep control in favor of the Wildcats. Maxwell Morris sends it down low for Russo. Russo behind the net, crosses it to the far side now as Surette looks to cut down on the angles for Max Stone, already with 1 goal in this one. Back up top, control by Jack Riley, the sophomore midfielder out of Waldwick, New Jersey. This team is comprised of a lot of players from the Mid-Atlantic and from the New England region. Johnson & Wales, if you're not aware, a culinary school. So quite a few athletes who are not just interested in maybe finance or the liberal arts, but quite a few students who are looking to potentially go into the culinary arts going forward. It's controlled up top by Maxwell Morris. Johnson & Wales taking some time here on their second possession of the game. Scored on their first, a Max Stone goal after the Beacons were unable to score early on. Mike Mulligan with the lone look of the day for UMass Boston. Hillenbrand being double-teamed, able to get it to the far side. Johnson & Wales cutting towards the slot, a hard shot. Surette makes the save, and it skips to the near side. It'll stay with the Wildcats, but Alex Surette, the first save of his night. That might give him some confidence. The first-team Eastern Mass All-American 2 seasons ago at Melrose. Took a year off before coming to the Beacons. Graduated back in 2014. Near side. Providence moving the ball effectively from top all the way behind the goal. It's Morris as the Beacons have committed a penalty. That one's upcoming. Johnson & Wales trying to score before the penalty happens. It's Stone. That one went off the underside of the bar. And the Beacons catch a break as they'll go short-handed. And the first man-up opportunity of the day for Johnson & Wales, already leading by a goal with 9:57 left in this first quarter. Get a stoppage, and it's going to be Robert Ranta, who had a pretty good game the other night for UMass Boston. The freshman D out of Newton, Massachusetts, is going to have to kneel in the box. He'll be in there for 30 seconds for an interference call. Up top, control by Johnson & Wales. It's Stone, who already scored early on. Johnson & Wales loves going behind the net. That's seemingly where they want to start all of their offense. Stone to the near side for Farrell. 10 and 11, two of the top scoring players, all the way up top for Lyons, who has a cannon. We've seen him miss a couple of times a little bit high. Johnson & Wales nearly lost it. Good pressure coming from the backside from Jim Gannon, the long stick defender, but Russo able to hold on to it. Beacons almost have killed off the man up. That one off the side of the net, picked up by Lyons. Rather, that was Farrell. Johnson & Wales still with it as the Beacons are back to even strength. Pass to the near side, Lyons winding up. A defender gets there in time, and the shot goes well wide over towards the far pylon. It'll stay with the Wildcats, who have dominated the possession after the Beacons earned the opening draw. 9:10 to play in quarter number 1. Wildcats 4-2, picked 4th in the Great Northeast Athletic Conference behind Emmanuel, who they've never defeated in 3 prior seasons, 0-5. LaSalle and Norwich University out of Vermont, another team they've never defeated, 0-4. Surette the save, rebound bounces out up top, and Lyons picks it up. Alex Surette with 2 early saves to keep this at a 1-0 deficit for UMass Boston. Farrell from the far side, near side, and it's Stone able to beat Surette near side. He's got 2 goals. Ben Farrell with the assist, and the Beacons trail 2-0 now on a pair of goals from Max Stone, who had 46 of them a year ago to lead the team, 67 total points. He's up to 19 goals in just 6 games, 5 starts here to start the 2017 season. Big face-off for UMass Boston, as it looks like it's going to be Matt Murphy, the long stick midfielder, working against Eric Lindas, I believe. No, that's Hunter Guzzo. Guzzo, the sophomore midfielder out of Wantage, New Jersey, has taken the majority of the faceoffs this year. And it will be Guzzo sending it towards the near side, trying to catch up to that one. Get some help from a teammate, and that's the second straight win for the Wildcats. A behind-the-back, no-look pass, and Providence gets out of a double-team jam. They'll set up their offense. Max Stone already with 2 goals in no rush here, as he knows his team's been pretty effective. Stone still holding on to it. Good pressure coming from Anthony Tortora, the Beacons all-conference midfielder, one of the few 4-year members of the Beacons roster. Very few players from either side still around from that first ever meeting between these 2 programs 4 years ago. Chancey in tight, and a Beacon lays out number 31, Eric Lindas. A huge hit in front to keep this game at 2-0. And that's huge for UMass Boston, as they'd been pinned in their own end defensively for about the last 6 or 7 minutes. Long pass from Alex Surette, just barely gets across midfield. Rana can't make the catch on the far side. It's not kept in. UMass Boston, a bad turnover there, as both Tortora and Josh Holmes not quite, actually that was Ranta and Josh Holmes not able to get there, and Johnson and Wales will get another offensive possession. The Beacons force the turnover and give it right back up as they were unable to clear their zone. Near side, who else? It's Stone sending it down low for Sam Sears. Another name you need to know, the junior attackman out of Baltimore, Maryland. 25 goals last year, second on the team. He's had a slower junior season, just 3 goals in 6 starts. I'm sure they're looking for him to heat up as this team looks to make it to the GNAC championship game for the first time in program history. Last year won their first ever tournament games. That shot is well high from Brian Hillenbrand as the Beacon closed out on him. DP Trantonio getting there in time to alter the shot. Johnson and Wales, the 4th seed in each of the last 2 tournaments. They lost 2 years ago in their first ever home game, and then last season earning the win before falling to Emmanuel in the championship semifinals. Played in the ECAC tournament and made it to the semifinals there as well. 6:38 to go. Pair of goals from Max Stone here in the first quarter has given the Wildcats the lead. Controlled up top, working with it, Eric Lindas, who was the player who was knocked down in front of the Beacons net to give the Beacons the ball back before they turned it right back over. Eric Russo, a rare opportunity to work from out front of the cage. Gives it off to Hillenbrand. Russo trying to evade a Beacon. That's the long stick midfielder, DP Trantonio. And a great look, but that goes off the back of the cage. And Surette still working for it, able to pick up the ground ball. And UMass Boston, a huge play from their goaltender, who's not going to get credit for the save there, but he's able to force the turnover. UMass Boston gets it across midfield, working with it is Ranta. Ranta ahead, and Holmes able to make the catch. UMass Boston looks like they're still without Clay Arnold, their leading point scorer, and Connor Smith, a pair of players who were banged up early on in that freezing game on Wednesday. And thus far, we haven't seen 2 of the Beacons' better point scorers. Granted, haven't seen a ton of Beacons' offensive chances, but neither player's out there right now. 7 and 11, which means the Beacons are going to have to rely for the second straight game on some of those guys who maybe haven't produced as much offensively. Right now, it's Sam Madden giving the ball off to Mike Mulligan, who had a pair of goals, including the game winner the other night. Behind the net, in and out of the stick of Christensen, who just barely keeps it in. Christensen spent a year at Salisbury, was not on the team, so he still has 4 years of eligibility left. Mulligan from the near side bounces it just wide, and good work getting over there behind the net to keep possession by Adam Caravo, who was the Little East Conference Rookie of the Week, his first collegiate week. That one off the stick there of Croy Arnold, who had been one of the Beacons' top face-off men to start the season, but with his brother injured, he's been moved up bit more into the attack and hasn't been taking the face-offs, leaving Matt Murphy to do those duties. Croy Arnold across. Christensen's shot is stopped. Great save there by Bradley Morris, but the Beacons trying to keep control. There was Caravel trying to swipe at it, still working after it. It's picked up by the long stick defenseman. And ahead now it's Johnson and Wales looking for the fast break opportunity. Croy Arnold in there swiping away. Surette the save, bounces out of his stick. Ball's loose and it ends up behind the cage. Racing after it is Croy Arnold working against the bigger TJ Consiglio. And it's going to go for an infraction on Johnson and Wales. The Beacons get it back. Alex Surette has had 3 big saves here in the first corner to keep UMass Boston in it, down just 2-0 on the pair of goals from Max Stone. This is the Beacons' second game in a 4-game homestand. Good work from DP Trantonio, the freshman long stick defenseman out of Watertown. Now he cuts towards the net, sends it far side. The Beacons working with it, unable to get the angle they were looking for a shot. Christensen, double and now triple team, will back out, and the Beacons will set it up with Sam Madden over to Croy Arnold. Croy out of Syracuse, New York. He and his twin brother Clay both played at Onondaga Community College 2 seasons ago when the team won the NJCAA National Championship. Onondaga, a powerhouse up in upstate New York. Matten behind the net, and the Beacons setting up with Josh Holmes. UMass Boston lost all but 18% of their goal scoring from a year ago due to transfers and thus far injuries. Calvin Lee has been unavailable, the second-year senior for UMass Boston. Colby transfer, who scored over 50 goals a year ago, has not yet played in a game. UMass Boston hopes to get him back at some point. Matten to the far side, tries to bulldoze his way through a player and sends a shot well wide on the far side. On the restart, it'll be Christensen. 3:03 to go. The Beacons looking for their first goal in this one. Christensen gets the turn, and the shot looks like it went off a player. That one's flung towards net, and they're going to give the Beacons the benefit of the doubt. It'll stay with UMass Boston. An errant shot rather than an errant pass. And it was Josh Holmes, the closest player to the end line. Holmes working one-on-one with the long stick. Holmes cuts towards the net, sends it far side. Christensen the high catch. He sends a shot wide, and it'll go back to Johnson & Wales. Closest player to at that time, Jordan Augustin, the senior D out of Leonia, New Jersey. Attended Paramus Catholic High School, making his seventh start of the season. 6 ground balls and 1 caused turnover. On the clear attempt, good work on the breakout here from Anthony DeMarsh. And DeMarsh is going to take it all the way inside the 30. Sets it up behind the net. The Beacons almost had the steal. Good catch coming from Sam Sears as Ranta tried to catch it with a long ball and forced the turnover. 2 early goals from Sam Sears. From Max Stone, the difference in this one. Johnson and Wales striking pair early. Since then, both goalies have stood up. Bradley Morris and Alex Surette, a pair of freshmen, replacing all-conference goalies or all-conference caliber goalies from a year ago. J.C. Guido not back for his junior season, at least not on the roster. Lyons a shot up top, and he scores. It's 3-0 Johnson and Wales. It'll be Stone's first assist of the game. Thomas Lyons picks up his first goal in this one, his 11th overall. Give him 11 goals, 12 points. He's now had goals in 6 of 7 games this season. Going back to my point about the goalies, J.C. Guido, the 2-time GNAC goalie of the year, not on the roster for Johnson & Wales, so they've split time between Bradley Morris, who looks like he's won the job, at least recently, and Griffin Boyle, who got the start in the first couple games. For UMass Boston, Craig Freehill, their senior goalie from a year ago, who had easily his best season of his career last season graduating. They've split time between Surette, who's seen the majority of the time, alongside A.J. Collette, senior who's no longer on the roster, and Nick Pasalugo, a very talented sophomore, still trying to get some game action. 3-0 in favor of Johnson & Wales. They keep possession after the face-off violation on the Beacons. Chance here, and the bouncer right through the legs of Surette. Ben Farrell on the scoreboard. It's 4-0 Wildcats in the opening 15 minutes, and we still have 1 minute and 28 left in this first quarter of action. Johnson & Wales had scored 2 early, now 2 in quick succession. The face-off violation giving Johnson & Wales more possession. The Beacons, I'm not sure if they have 4 shots on goal thus far. Johnson & Wales on the other side, 4 goals in the opening 13 minutes and change, and this is a huge face-off between Murphy and Guzzo wins it back towards the defense. Picked up, though, by Holmes, and now let's see if the Beacons can get a late marker and potentially gain some confidence. Last season, Johnson & Wales led 3-0 through the opening quarter. The Beacons scored 6 in a row and got some confidence. UMass Boston led by a pair early on in the fourth quarter, but Johnson & Wales scoring 3 goals in a span of 2 minutes and 2 seconds late in the fourth quarter to earn the 10-9 victory in comeback fashion, snapping the Beacons' 6-0 start to the season. This year's season's been a little bit more up and down. Tough start for both teams just in terms of getting games in. With the brutally cold weather, the snow, it's been very cold on a couple of Saturdays in a row. As Croy Arnold cuts towards the net, takes a bouncing shot well wide, and once again, Johnson & Wales winning the foot race. Jordan Augustin for the second consecutive defensive play, able to gain possession for his team by just working harder, and you see Augustin racing towards the sideline. Right now, everything going Johnson & Wales' way, and with a much larger contingent on the sideline of guys who look to be available, that could help them out with their second game in 3 days for both teams. The Beacons cause a turnover with 20 seconds left, trying to get something on the board. Chance in front. Holmes can't make the catch. A good feed from behind the net from Caravo, and Josh Holmes right in front turns it over. Johnson and Wales has 8 seconds left. Can they get something going? Brad Medlin into the offensive end, bouncing ball. Ranta goes shoulder to shoulder with an offensive player, and we head to the first intermission. It's Johnson and Wales 4, UMass Boston 0. Take a quick audio break, and then we'll bring you the second quarter of play. UMass Boston looking for some goals as they trail 4-0 after one. Taking a look at last season's game, it was 3-0 after one in favor of Johnson and Wales. A pair of man-up goals, Max Stone and Sam Sears. I got the second quarter a little bit wrong. The Beacons opened the scoring with Matthew Duggan, who's no longer a member of the Beacons program. Johnson and Wales got one back. The Beacons scored 2. Johnson and Wales scored 2, but the Beacons ended the quarter with 3 in a row. So 6 goals in the quarter, just not 6 in a row, to tie the game at 6 at the end of the first quarter, or the end of the first half. So there's hope, Beacons fans. This script certainly could play out in a similar way. In the third quarter, it was 2-0 in favor of UMass Boston, so that made it 5 goals in a row for the Beacons to take an 8-6 lead. And then Calvin Lee scored the Beacons' final goal of the game at 5:55. Lee was one of 3 Beacons to have scored a hat trick in that one. Unfortunately, none of those 3 available for this game, it looks like, as Matthew Duggan no longer a member of the Beacons. Calvin Lee is in street clothes, and I think Connor Smith might be as well. I've not seen him out on the field after he was noticeably banged up against Riviere on Wednesday in that 3-2 victory. Smith, one of the Beacons' leading goal scorers and top returning goal scorer with Lee unavailable. Johnson and Wales, 3 goals in the final, 4:57, 3 goals in 2:02 total, as it was Brett Verteber, Max Stone, and Sam Sears all scoring in the final 5 minutes to give Johnson and Wales the lead. The Beacons trying to win the faceoff, goes in and out of a Beacons cage, and they're going to give it to UMass Boston. So good work picking it up there by Jack Dillon, who normally plays with the long stick, the University of Hartford transfer, but right now he's in the midfield trying to give the Beacons a little bit more offense. And we will see, I believe we're going to see a penalty as UMass Boston will start on the offensive end, and it will be. It's the other number 22, Owen Macca, heading to the sin rectangle. It's not quite a bin. Has no walls. And it'll be the Beacons on the man up for the first time today. Johnson and Wales 0 for 1. UMass Boston has the man up for 30 seconds. Looking for that first goal of the game. Croy Arnold up top. Swings it down low into the stick there of a Johnson and Wales player. Fortunate to get it back. It's Carivo. Over to Croy, who's not the offensive juggernaut that his brother Clay is, but he does bring a calming presence to the Beacons. Johnson and Wales is back to even strength. The player racing on. Shot from the far side. Christensen scores, and the Beacons on the board. Will Christensen, the Salisbury University transfer, has his first goal of the game and 5th total as a Beacon. Freshman out of Weston, Massachusetts. Give Croy Arnold the assist, and the Beacons get the man-up goal as Johnson and Wales was still getting that player back out there. So the Beacons scoring just 46 seconds into quarter number 2. And just like that, folks, maybe a similar script in store. The Beacons looking to turn the final score, maybe by a goal, maybe by a couple, but either way, a much better start to quarter number 2 than the first quarter as the Beacons get on the board. Will Christensen, and this face-off into the offensive end. Ball still loose, and in and out of the cage there of Carivo. The Beacons had a chance, and that ball in and out of the stick of the goaltender, Morris. UMass Boston seemingly picking up the intensity and the pace a little bit here, despite not having the numbers that Johnson & Wales has. Remember, Johnson & Wales, just a fourth-year program. This is the first class of seniors under Johnson & Wales coach Nick Capola, the fourth-year head coach, 26-31, at his first winning season a year ago. Played his college ball at Western New England. For the Beacons, they're coming off their best season under their head coach. That's Tyler Lowe, 12 wins a season ago, tied the program record for wins. UMass Boston fell just short, though, in the LEC quarterfinal round as the Beacons turn it over in the defensive end, and Johnson & Wales will look to get something going. From behind the net, it's Russo up top for another lefty. This is the first time we've seen Anthony DeMarche with a shot, and that one might have caught Surette. Definitely went wide. It'll stay with Johnson & Wales. 13-13 to go in the second quarter. Fortunately, it's not the 13th of March, as it is some Friday night under the lights action here. It's about the closest we get to Friday night lights. Don't know football here on UMass Boston, so this will do for these UMass Boston fans who are out in much larger numbers than they were on Wednesday. That doesn't say that much because it was frigid and no one really should have been out here, but a much larger and louder crowd than the other night between these two programs who have had 2 games in the past 4 years. There's a big save from Surette, raising the arms, got a piece of it just underneath the helmet. And it'll be Russo picking up the ball coming out of play. For UMass Boston right now, Matt Pino looks to be stretching out. Pino, a player who saw a good amount of time the other day. Not sure if he was banged up and trying to stretch out or if he's about to head into the game, as that shot went off a Johnson & Wales player well behind the net. And it'll go back to the Wildcats. Johnson & Wales scored 2 goals early on, a long scoreless stretch where both teams had chances. And then 2 goals late in the quarter to take a 4-0 lead after 1. The Beacons getting one back, a man-up goal from Will Christensen just 46 seconds into quarter number 2. My name is Seth Dorensky, bringing the action on the Beacons Broadcast Network. A pair of Beacons double-teaming Thomas Lyons, who has one of the 4 goals. Having to pick up his stick there for UMass Boston is Jack Dillon. Loose ball picked up there by the Beacons. Derek D.P. Trantonio tries to go near side, faked it, finally finds Christensen. Deeks back slot, shot wide, and it'll stay with the Beacons. A good look from Christensen, who's showing some confidence there. D.P. Trantonio looked like he was trying to make the pass originally to Christensen, couldn't get it out of his webbing, and then able to find him on the second effort. Christensen, a good duck towards the net, but unable to find the back of the net. He already has 1 in the quarter. Croy Arnold will control for UMass Boston. Back over and on the bounce, able to find Mike Mulligan. UMass Boston without Connor Smith, without Clay Arnold, without Calvin Lee. 3 of the guys that were expected to carry the scoring load for this Beacons team. We'll rely heavily on Caravo and Christensen. Mike Mulligan had 2 the other day, sends that one wide, and it'll go to the Beacons. Good effort on the far side from a pair of players, Caravo and Christensen, winning the foot race against Augustin, who we've seen already win a couple of foot races to get the ball back for his side. Christensen looking for the turn, sends it backside, and the Beacons score. Beautiful play from Christensen to find Caravo, and the Beacons have cut the deficit in half here with 2 goals in the opening 4:01. A beautiful look from Christensen to find Caravo, and Adams scores his 11th goal. That's the team lead now. 16 points on the season. He scored one of the Beacons' 3 goals the other night and picks up another one today. He's now had a goal in every single game. And fortunately for the Beacons, he's had at least 2 points in every game. So look for him to get more involved as this game goes along. Christensen, the first goal, giving the assist on the second. Big face-off right now as the Beacons look to keep the momentum going. Murphy working against Guzzo, who picks that one up cleanly. Gets it off to a teammate, and he'll head over to the sideline. Hunter, sophomore out of Wantage, New Jersey, a guy who's pretty much a face-off specialist, came into this one 44 of 75, tops on the team with 20 ground balls. And that's huge when you can have a guy who's winning it well more than 50% of the time. Russo, far side. Johnson & Wales hasn't scored in about 5-6 minutes, but more importantly, they've given up a pair of goals. Pressure might be on the offense right now. Russo ducking and diving, gets the turn a little bit, facing off against the Beacons long stick midfielder. That's Ganem. Rather, Kavanaugh shot low. Surette the save, picked up by Rana with the ground ball. And now the Beacons will look to clear. Rana goes behind the net. That's Ganem. He turns it over. Surette 2-on-1, and Surette unable to make the save. A terrible turnover by the Beacons long stick midfielder behind the net. Give the goal to Russo with Sam Sears picking up the assist. That's a big no-no. Where are you not supposed to turn the ball over in any sport? Right around your net, your basket, either way you want to say it. That was as bad as they come, as Alex Surette out of position because he was trying to get to the pass and then had the cutter towards the front. That would have been a Sports Center top 10 type of save, and Surette unable to make it. So instead of being a 4-2 game with the Beacons attacking, it's all of a sudden 5-2, and we'll get a Beacons timeout. We'll take it with them. 9:54 to go in the second quarter. Johnson and Wales 5, UMass Boston 2. Both teams out on the turf right now. 9:54 to go. UMass Boston showing a lot more life here in the second quarter than they did the first, but they find themselves trailing 5-2, and that was a bad one to give up. A defensive turnover with everybody going out looking to get the clear attempt successful, and it was just one defender and one goalie back. The Beacons turned it over. Surette couldn't make the save, and all of a sudden it's back to a 3-goal lead. Big face-off. Murphy pushes it towards the offensive zone, picked up there by Ben Farrell, and he is off to the races. Farrell can fly, the senior out of Downingtown, Pennsylvania. What a save by Surette! The bouncer that goes all the way up top, and now Ganem has a chance to redeem himself, picks up the loose ball. Ganem tiptoeing the sideline, sends it far side, and not enough on the pass. Almost picked off to the far side, keeping it in there. Great work from Sam Sears, and Ganem another turnover. That was a tough one, working the sideline. At least he sent it to the far side and not towards net. But the Beacons, for a second consecutive possession, get the turnover or get the ground ball, but give it right back. That's been the case a little bit too often for UMass Boston's young side here in the past couple games. Something the Beacons are going to look to iron out. The Beacons playing a very youthful side. Tyler Lowe tweeted it out the other day as Surette makes another save. He is feeling it right now. Has at least 5 in the first quarter and change. We're not even midway through this second quarter, but Tyler Lowe tweeted out the night after UMass Boston earned their 3-2 win how impressed he was with his freshmen stepping up. Beacons team missing a lot of their upperclassmen is right now Mike Mulligan, some good awareness to avoid a player coming in from behind. Might have had his head swiped off if he hadn't turned around. Give it off to Croyano, and the Beacons will set up. This Beacons team without some of their top players. Calvin Lee was expected to be, once again, a 50-goal, 80-point scorer. He went out with an injury right before the season started. Clay Arnold and Connor Smith, both unavailable for this one, missed most of Wednesday's game after picking up some bumps and bruises in the terribly cold temperatures that were amongst some of the worst that most of the players and coaches could remember being. And Christensen, the turnaround, sends it wide. Couldn't quite find the near post, and the Beacons will retain possession. Going to get a stoppage. Johnson and Wales' coach was on the field, and he was looking for a timeout. We'll get a stoppage with 8:05 to play. Make sure to stick with us at halftime. We'll have some highlights of the UMass Boston Lacrosse team. Take a look at the stats. Look what else is going around Beaconville and around the conference. Right now, 5-2 in favor of the Wildcats with 8:05 to play in the second quarter. UMass Boston will control the ball coming out of the Johnson & Wales timeout. Johnson & Wales coach Nick Capola saw something he wasn't happy with and got the timeout, trying to keep his team ahead by 3 goals. The Beacons got 2 early on in the quarter. Will Christensen scored 1, assisted on the other. Adam Caravo finding the back of the net on a tremendous feed from Christensen. But the Beacons gave the ball up in a bad spot. Shot right on target to Morris by Holmes, and Morris the save. The rebound bounces out, and almost picking it up there is Croy Arnold. Goes through the legs, trying to find a teammate. Ball still loose. 2 Wildcats, 3 Beacons, and picking it up is Croy Arnold, who made the nifty play to keep it in along the sideline there through his legs. Arnold trying to get the turn, getting badgered, encumbered, slowed down, however you want to put it, and the Beacons keep possession. Up top, it's Sam Matten as the Beacons will slow it down with 7:15 to play in this second quarter. Matten back up top to Mulligan. You're seeing a lot of freshmen out there for UMass Boston offensively. A lot of guys who maybe aren't even freshmen but are players who were in their first season with this Beacons program. In fact, Croy Arnold is a junior, but he's a transfer from Onondaga Community College. Far side for Holmes, a freshman. Caravo's a freshman. Christensen, a freshman transfer. Mulligan's a freshman. Matten's a freshman. Arnold in tight. The bounce shot in and out of the cage there of Morris. A good look from Arnold, but not quite enough behind it to get it past Bradley Morris, the very impressive freshman who's on a hot streak right now. His last 3 games, 52 saves to 35 goals against, including a 22-save performance against Eastern Connecticut State, another team out of the Little East Conference that was picked just ahead of UMass Boston in the LEC preseason. Ball turnaround shot. Josh Holmes scores, and the Beacons have cut it back to 2. Another good look, and on the turnaround just along the near side, Josh Holmes becomes the 3rd player to light the lamp for the Beacons. Here as Holmes picks up his 6th goal of the season. Give him 13 points. He came in 3rd on the team, and that's a big one for the Beacons to get it back to 2 here. Still plenty of time left in this second quarter. 6:21 to go. The Beacons scored 2 goals in the first 2 minutes, picking up a 3rd one to sandwich that Eric Russo goal on the bad turnover. The ball once again flipped into the defensive zone, ball bouncing around. Anthony Tortora the scoop, and the Beacons senior midfielder out of Medford, Massachusetts will bring it into the offensive end with the Beacons continuing to feel it offensively. They scored 6 goals in the second quarter a year ago down in Providence at Miracle Grove Field. Coming back from an early 3-0 deficit to tie the game at 6-6 at half. Today they fell behind 4-0 after 1 and have scored 3 in the second to cut the deficit to 5-3. Players subbing in and out. Arnold will dump it off for Matten, who's still trying to get in on the scoring action. Sam, a freshman out of Sturbridge, Massachusetts, has scored 2 goals, both on the road, though. Hasn't scored a goal at home where the Beacons are 3-0. Their lone 2 losses on the road in Dudley, Mass., a loss to Nichols where they were doubled up, and then at MIT last Saturday. Christensen looking for the turn. Much better when he's using the traditional right hand. There's a big hit. Christensen's shot goes high off of Morrison. I think we're going to get a stoppage. Let's see who this penalty goes against. A late flag, and we're going to get a slashing call against Johnson and Wales. Let's see who gets called for this one. And it's going to be Augustin, who's been active in this one. Jordan Augustin called for interference, and the Beacons already with one man up goal on one chance, looking to make it a 2-for-2 performance. 30 seconds of man-up time for UMass Boston. 1-for-1 on the day. They'll start on the far side. Sam Matten swinging it back out top for Arnold. Arnold to the near side, giving it back and forth with Caraval. Back to Matten, sending it for Christensen. His pass was errant, in and out of the stick there of Arnold. The ball will go over the midfield line, and we're going to see a stoppage, and it'll go against UMass Boston. That'll pretty much kill off the 30-second clock. The Beacons, an errant pass there, giving it up. Came across midfield, and Johnson and Wales will look to kill off the time and then set up offensively. Here's the guy who was hot early, Max Stone, a pair of goals to start the game. He'll make sure that his team is back to even strength, and now the Wildcats looking to take advantage of this Beacons miscue. Johnson and Wales, in just their 4th year as a Division III program, they've earned more wins in each successive season. They started with just 4 wins back in year 1. That was 2014, and ever since, they went 7-8 in year 2, finished 1 game over 500 a season ago, and now out to a strong 4-2 start. Pass in tight. Russo behind the back in the goal. Eric Russo has 2 in a row for Johnson and Wales. His team celebrating hard after that one, and quite honestly, that was a beautiful goal. Not quite sure how tight we had that on the camera, but Russo darting towards the net, went behind the shoulder, and not much Surette could have done about that one. Those are some of the hardest to stop when it comes from an unexpected angle. And Eric Russo, the junior out of West Grove, Pennsylvania, scores his 18th goal in the season. He's second best on the team. Johnson and Wales counters the Beacons' goal with one of their own, pushing the lead back to 6-3. So the Beacons have enough firepower to stick with the Wildcats. Remember, this Johnson and Wales team has scored at least 11 goals in each of the past 3, and 13 in 2 of them. Guzzo coming in tight. Great job from behind by Murphy to get a stick in there and deflect it high as Guzzo was bidding for a rare goal. It'll stay with Johnson and Wales, but that would have been a real dagger if Johnson and Wales could have scored a second goal within 10 seconds. Still plenty of time left in this game. 3:45 to go in the second and 30 minutes in half number 2. But you don't want to fall too far behind, especially with so many offensive players injured. Shot goes high and just a little bit wide off the stick of Lindos, and it'll stay with the Wildcats. Johnson and Wales has dominated possession at points in this game, dominated for most of the first quarter and small chunks here in quarter number 2. Up top, Sears looking for a player. Actually, that was Riley finding Sears, who couldn't quite handle it, and racing to keep this one in on the far side is Lindos, who will be able to do so. Lindos over to Russo, who has 2 goals and I believe has at least 1, if not a couple of assists in this game for Johnson and Wales, looking for their 5th win in the month of March alone. This team went down to Georgia and picked up a couple victories. Up top, it's Lindos, giving it off to the speedy Hillenbrand. And now working with it is Riley. Russo, who normally works from behind the cage, is over to the near side. Ball goes in and out of the stick, and picking it up is Dillon. Dillon working with the short stick, can operate a little bit faster near side for Christensen down low. Holmes in and out of the stick of Morris. What a save from Bradley Morris, who is showing off why he has had no problems replacing J.C. Guido thus far. That was a great look from Holmes, who scored the Beacons' last goal, and now a chance in tight for Johnson and Wales as the Beacons' long stick defender was out of position, but UMass Boston helping out and able to cut down on the angle for Sam Sears. 2:06 to go, already a 6-3 lead in favor of Johnson and Wales. Can the Wildcats tack on to their lead? Seeing great goaltending by both freshman goalies. Morris for Johnson and Wales, Surette for UMass Boston. Both guys probably closing in on at least half a dozen saves here in quarter number 2. To the near side, setting it down low is Lindos to Russo. Far side, big shot, and that one might have caught a piece of the stick of Surette. It'll end up behind the net and out of bounds. Russo with it over to Lindos. This Johnson & Wales team going a little bit deeper offensively than the Beacons are, using some more substitutes, going with almost 2 lines as compared to the Beacons 1. And there's a chance in tight, unable to quite handle it was a Johnson & Wales player. Did get the shot off. Now a shot goes off the underside of the pipe. The Beacons are going to go down a man at the end of this play regardless, but the Beacons able to keep that from going in, at least we think, up top. Johnson & Wales still asking whether that was a goal. It's going to be a slash against the Beacons, but I don't think they're going to put that goal up on the scoreboard. That was difficult to tell unless you had slow motion and instant replay. And we'll see. It's going to be Derek D.P. Trantonio for a slashing call. And Johnson & Wales will go to the man advantage for a minute. D.P. Trantonio out of Watertown, Massachusetts. He and Matt Murphy were part of a Watertown program that had a very successful season 2 years ago, winning a league championship. To the near side for Lindos. Lindos down low for Russo. Johnson & Wales did not score on their first man-up opportunity. Taking their time. They've got plenty of it. That's Lions up top. Back over for Stone, who has 2 goals in this one. Stone calling for it. Stone looking for Lions, who's been their long-distance gunner thus far. Behind the net, working with it, is Sam Sears. Sears over for Lindos. Lindos, a bouncer that goes just short of the net over Surette and out of bounds to the far side. Down to 36.5 seconds. Can the Beacons kill this off and head into the half, only trailing by 3? Ball bounces out of the stick there, and a great job to keep it in. At least it looked like it by Ben Farrell. Will get a stoppage, and I think they're going to award Johnson & Wales a timeout. Huh. That's a good timeout taken by Nick Capola. As that ball was going out of bounds, they ruled they had enough possession to give them timeout, and we'll see what Johnson & Wales can do. Probably about another 15 to 20 seconds on the man up, and then either way they can hold on to the ball and look to extend their advantage. 6-3 UMass Boston trails. It was 4-0 after 1. Beacons trying to keep it within striking distance heading into the half, as they've played a much better second quarter than they did in the first. Johnson & Wales behind the net. It's Russo with it. Sending out to the far side. A snipe that goes high. A high riser that went into the netting. That one probably would have still been going out towards the harbor if not for the netting right behind the cage. Whipped into the air by what I believe was Sears on the far side. Russo with it down to 20 seconds. Still a lot of time in lacrosse to set something up. Russo back out top. Hard shot once again. Just a little bit high. That one was kept lower by Ben Farrell. Clock sits at 13 seconds exactly. It'll be Stone to take the restart. Up top, Lions with one, looking for a second. Surette the save, able to hold on, and Surette's going to fling it down the length. Still 3 seconds left. Chance in close. Carabao shoots and scores. He beats the buzzer, and the Beacons, what a turn of events. It's Carabao from Alex Surette, and how often you see the goalie assist in lacrosse. Beat the buzzer by a matter of 0.3, maybe 0.4, and UMass Boston has to go into the half feeling great about themselves. 4 goals in the quarter. They trail 6-4 overall, and with that, it's a whole new game as UMass Boston takes the momentum into the half. That's one of the best plays I've ever seen in a college lacrosse game. Surette the assist, sending it the length of the field, and I don't think Johnson & Wales thought the Beacons had enough time as Carabao caught it in behind the defense, able to hold it, run in maybe a foot or two, and then beats Bradley Morris. That's Caravo's second goal of the game, and UMass Boston takes a 2-goal deficit into the half after trailing by 3 or even 4 for most of the first half. So, 10 minutes on the clock after the second quarter of play. We're going to get you our halftime intermission show in just a second. Make sure to stick with us, folks. We'll update you on the rest of the conference goings-on. We'll update you on what's going on around the rest of Beaconville. Take a look at the stats and everything else. But first, we're going to take a look at the highlights from Wednesday night. It was about 40 degrees cooler with the wind chill. It was a much lower scoring game already. We've got 10 goals here in the first half, just 5 in that game overall, the lowest scoring game in program history. We'll take a look at the highlights as UMass Boston earned a comeback 3-2 win over Riviera University.
Mulligan coming near side all the way around. Takes the nice shot, a nice save made. He was the man there first, and so the Raiders do
If this was the last dance of the night, will you join me till the morning light? There's the night away, cause it feels right. You can't stop, no, you can't stop, no, you can't stop, no.
Adam, ending his way towards the crease, gets running, far right pass, they score! UMass Boston on a beautiful offensive play by Adam Farlow. Guinasso, as the Raiders
24/7, 365 a year, and we know it is here. You can't stop me now.
Unable to get that is Murphy. A chance at a Benson shot. A good save made. Reeled there by Oliver.
We keep on going and going, and music never dies. Bring on the bomb, carry on and rock the line. You can't stop us now. We keep on going and going and going till the brink of dawn. Nothing can stop me, not even
As it connects. Spencer just bounced the whole
mind is shaking, my body on. You can't stop us now.
Here takes a nice shot and a low stick.
If this was the last
Was
dance
number
of
12.
the night, will you join me till the morning light? There's the night away, cause it feels right. You can't stop, no. If this was the last dance of the night, will you join me till the morning light? There's the night.
Mulligan coming near side all the way around. Takes the nice shot, a nice save made. He was the man there first, and so the Raiders do
If this was the last dance of the night, will you join me till the morning light? There's the night away, cause it feels right. You can't stop, no, you can't stop, no, you can't stop, no.
Adam, ending his way towards the crease, gets running, far right pass, they score! UMass Boston on a beautiful offensive play by Adam Farlow. Guinasso, as the Raiders
24/7, 365 a year, and we know it is here. You can't stop me now.
Unable to get that is Murphy. A chance at a Benson shot. A good save made. Reeled there by Oliver.
We keep on going and going, and music never dies. Bring on the bomb, carry on and rock the line. You can't stop us now. We keep on going and going and going till the brink of dawn. Nothing can stop me, not even if it connects.
Spencer just bounced the whole
mind is shaking, my body on. You can't stop us now.
Here takes a nice shot and a low stick.
If this was the last
Was
dance
number
of the
12.
night, will you join me till the morning light? There's the night away, cause it feels right. You can't stop, no. If this was the last dance of the night, will you join me till the morning light? There's the night.
Welcome back to the Beacons Broadcast Network. You saw the highlights from that 3-2 win. Not once, but twice it was that good for UMass Boston the other day. The Beacons looking for their fourth win. They trail 6-4 at halftime, and the stats kind of show the picture. 31 shots for Johnson and Wales to just 18 for the Beacons. But look at that save total. Alex Surette not only has 9 saves, he's got an assist. How about that for a goalie doing a little bit of everything for UMass Boston? Face-offs, 7-4 in favor of Johnson and Wales, but we've seen a lot of face-offs that have caromed out to one side or the other and involved a few more players than just the face-off guys. Hunter Guzzo for this Johnson and Wales team, and for UMass Boston, it's been Matt Murphy primarily. UMass Boston with 6 turnovers thus far, 5 for Johnson and Wales. Both teams 0 for 2 in the man-up. The Beacons scored a goal just after the man-up ended early on in their first chance. Sounded like originally they were calling it a man-up goal, but instead they said that the guy was back on the field. It's one of those goals you see a lot in lacrosse and hockey where that extended period of man-up time. And now we'll take a look around the rest of the conference. One other game going on today in the LEC. It was Castleton University up there in Vermont defeating the University of Southern Maine 15-7. A couple good ones tomorrow. Mount Ida at Eastern Connecticut State. Then we've got Wheaton College at UMass Dartmouth. That one should be a really good one. UMass Dartmouth replacing their longtime head coach, Wheaton College, normally a team out of the NUMAC, who is very talented. Western Connecticut State taking a trip all the way down to Pennsylvania, just outside the Philadelphia area. Rosemont College, that's about 5 to 10 minutes away from where I grew up. That is not a short trip for the Colonials, but they're looking for a win as they were predicted to move up the conference standings a little bit. Right now, we'll take a look around the rest of Beaconville. A couple games going on tomorrow at least. They're still scheduled to go on tomorrow. We'll see if they actually go on as planned. The baseball team hosting Suffolk University tomorrow for a doubleheader that's supposed to start at noon. Just across this lacrosse field to the dark baseball field across the way. If it was sunny out, you could see it in all its glory. The Beacons replica Fenway Park, Monin Park. Softball is at Emmanuel College for their New England opener tomorrow at noon in the Fenway area. And men's tennis is supposed to host Emerson tomorrow at 1 p.m. on the tennis courts to our right. Really an all-inclusive complex just off the Beacons campus here. So the Beacons share some of their facilities with Boston College High School, the prep school that is well known in the state of Massachusetts for winning at pretty much every single sport, at least on the boys' side, an all-boys school here in Dorchester, Mass. The teams are ready. Just about 50 seconds to go before the start of quarter number 3. Run you down what happened in that first half. It was Johnson and Wales jumping out to an early 2-0 lead that stretched out to 4 by the end of the first quarter. Beacon scored 2 early ones in the second quarter, gave one back up. Traded goals. It was 5-3 with 30 seconds left. Johnson and Wales had the man up trying to extend their advantage. Instead, Alex Surette, his 9th save of the half. Remember, Surette has not made more than 9 saves in a game this season. He's hit 9 saves now in 4 of his 5 appearances. Makes his 9th save and then sends it the length of the field for Adam Caravo to score his second goal on UMass Boston. Cut it to 6-4. This is a really big face-off, and I'm going to say that semi-frequently throughout this game. But this is a big face-off because UMass Boston has the momentum of that goal. Johnson and Wales can just settle and put the Beacons down by another goal or just not turn it over here. As I don't know what that Beacon was doing. Holmes waiting for the ball to come to him. It'll end up being okay. There is Murphy, the guy who was originally in the face-off, picks it up. But Holmes didn't have to wait there. There wasn't the midfield line telling him to stop. He was just hoping it would come to him. And the Beacons fortuitous there to keep control of the ball on the loose ball. Murphy, the long stick, able to get it over for Ganem. And ahead for Holmes. That's not two guys you expect to see in the offensive area. Jim Ganem and Matt Murphy, a pair of long stick defenders, but UMass Boston will start to sub guys off. Murphy to the bench. So Arnold will give it over to Christensen, who's had a good game thus far. A goal and an assist. Has really been a pretty good creator for the Beacons offense. They trail by 2. Christensen from behind the net, bringing it to the near side, looking to get some space on Augustin, who's been one of the more active defenders for this Johnson & Wales team. Back out top to Croy Arnold. We'll see Jack Dillon sub off, and Sam Matten, one of the guys we've been seeing a lot in the offensive end, controlling it to the far side. Croy Arnold with the ball, gaining some steam to the near side. Croy whips it over for Caravo, and behind the net, Christensen looking to create an opportunity. Caravo lurking on the near side. Instead, Christensen goes to the far side, immediately met by the long stick of Augustin. Christensen fighting him off, trying to get the turn of the shot. Ball bounces out of his stick, able to control. Floats a dangerous pass to the near side to find Matten, and the Beacons will control with Mulligan. Mulligan looking to get the turn on a defender as he pushes him further and further outside. Behind the net for Christensen. Christensen working against Augustin, who loses his footing there for a little bit. Christensen jump shot and a big save from Morris. Man, these freshmen are going big save for big save. Bradley's had 8 for Johnson & Wales. Alex Surette has 9 for UMass Boston. We're seeing some really high-level goaltending from a pair of freshmen. This is a good sign for both of these teams as they head towards the conference season. Remember, UMass Boston will open conference play next Saturday, Game 4 of their 4-game homestand. They take on Bowdoin on Tuesday night. For Johnson & Wales, conference play starts next Saturday as well against that Rivier University team the Beacons just saw, earning a 3-2 victory. Bouncing ball in and out of the stick of Russo, not going to get there, and a rare turnover for the Wildcats. That's a bad one. Bouncing ball to Russo, one of their more shorthanded players, couldn't handle the bounce, and the Beacons get it back. They've had their looks. Christensen, it's a good one. And then Surette bouncing it. Croy tried to come back, and getting over here, not in time, is Holmes, who made a good diving effort to try to keep the ball inbounds, but that's the second time today the Beacons have not been able to connect on a long pass from their goaltender, forcing a turnover. On the other hand, they also scored a remarkable goal, just barely beating the halftime buzzer on a pass from Alex Surette the entire length of the field. So, unable to do it twice, but also able to score a successful goal. I don't think the Beacons are going to harp too much on the passing of Alex Surette. Ball down low, bouncing around. The Beacons get the ball right back. Johnson & Wales back-to-back turnovers, both of them pretty much unforced. Jack Dillon picks up the loose ball, races into the zone, loses it for a moment, gets it right back, and Dillon will slow it down here as he goes back to the near side, finds Holmes, who just had an opportunity to keep it in the last time. A great hustle play to try to keep it in, just couldn't quite beat the ball to the sideline. Croy Arnold will wait with it up top as Tortora is going to head to the bench. Arnold around one player, but he'll back off to the far side for Caravo, who's sitting on 2 goals, looking to become the first player for either side to hit a hat trick on the day. 6-4 with 10:55 to play. Both of these teams capable of scoring goals in bunches. UMass Boston hasn't been scoring goals at a high rate as much recently due to some injuries to 2 of their top scorers, Connor Smith and Clay Arnold. But for Johnson & Wales, this team scored at least 11 goals in 3 straight, 13 in 2 of their past 3. As that ball comes out of the stick there, swiped away from Mulligan, and picking it up is Thomas Lyons. Lyons sends it wide, looking for his second goal, and Johnson & Wales will retain possession. Both teams have been sloppy here in quarter number 3. A pair of turnovers on both sides. Working with it is Max Stone, who scored the first 2 goals of the game for either side. He and Caravo, the lone players with 2 goals, actually give Lyons 2 as well. Stone with it. Over for Verteber. Johnson & Wales moving the ball well. Russo for Stone. Stone up top for Verteber. Back over for Farrell. All the way around. Working like a clock. Verteber back around for Hillenbrand. Hillenbrand finds Farrell. Johnson and Wales looking to maybe just hold on to the ball for a bit here after turning it over quickly on their last 2 possessions. Scoreless first almost 6 minutes here to start the third quarter. High shot from Russo, and that one goes out of bounds. Johnson and Wales just barely winning the foot race as DP Trantonio tried to get his stick out in front. Stone across for Farrell, down low, bouncing in and out of the stick there of a Johnson and Wales player, and it was Sears who couldn't handle it. Surette with another ground ball. What a game Alex Surette is having. He had 9 saves in the first half alone and an assist. You don't see many goalies, especially at the Division III level with assists. Even rare more the goalie goal, although it happens in lacrosse more than any other sport with a goalie. Occasionally see it in hockey, very infrequently see it in soccer. Christensen looking to bully his way through Augustin. Turns right back the other way, sends it across, just out of the reach there of Holmes, and maybe is a little bit of the Beacons' youth there. Christensen trying to do a bit too much. Sends an errant pass looking for Holmes, and the Beacons give it up. The good news is this game is still very close. UMass Boston with that late goal to end the second cut the deficit to 2. But that's the other issue. They still trail by 2. That 4-goal first quarter has put the Beacons in a big deficit. Chance from distance, shot and a score. Brian Hillenbrand gets on the scoreboard. His first, 4th of the season, the senior from Portsmouth, Rhode Island, pushing the lead back up to 3, and it's 7-4 Johnson and Wales. The first goal of the third quarter coming nearly midway through the quarter, 7:51 left in quarter number 3. Give Jack Riley the assist, his first point of the season. Guzzo and Murphy, the 2 men in the face-off X. Ball bounces towards the 30, and this time Holmes doesn't have to wait behind the 30-yard line as it came right to him. And I stand corrected on that last one. I forgot one of the many intricacies of the lacrosse field and lacrosse rules, as Holmes is required to stay behind the 30-yard line and able to pick up that ground ball shot. Thought about it there from distance, and the Beacons' long stick defenseman passed up on the shot. That was Murphy, who does have a goal to his name, in fact has 2 on this season. Actually 2 assists, both coming in the opener against New England College.
Okay. All right, that's fine. Thank you, Pep.
Croy Arnold and Mike Mulligan going back and forth. Arnold looking to get a turn on the defender, sends it through for Caravo. Caravo back up top. Madden can't make the catch, and that one's going to bounce through. Beacons thought there should have been an infraction there for a push right at midfield. Instead, a turnover by the Beacons. And it's been a sloppy third quarter for UMass Boston. Had a great opportunity early on to cut it to 6-5, but since then it's been more turnovers than shots or shots on goal. The Beacons' offensive coordinator, Anthony Fitty, very frustrated. The UMass Boston alum who actually played goalie for this Beacons team, was a forward on the UMass Boston men's hockey team. Graduated back in 2012 with 81 points. Has been gesticulating over on the Beacons sideline for the past couple minutes, frustrated with his offense. It's a very young offense, young group. Hasn't worked together a ton. Up top, it's a chance for Lions to get the hat trick. Bounces it just through Surette. And the lead is 4 once again, 8-4 in favor of Johnson and Wales. As Thomas Lyons picks up another one. And the Beacons, another big hole at 4 goals. Johnson and Wales Scoring with 7:51 left in the quarter, and now just a minute and 58 seconds later, they tack on a second tally. The Beacons went scoreless in the first quarter. Need to avoid that here in the third if they are going to come back in this game. Already been outscored 2-0 in the third, outscored 4-0 in the first. And then in that second quarter, they outscored Johnson and Wales by a 4-2 score. Guzzo picked up the face-off ball bouncing around after he was stripped. The Beacons almost had it. Tortora picked it up, but immediately had the ball knocked from his stick. And Johnson and Wales sets up and controls. Love to see this game if the Beacons had their full entourage of attacking options. This Beacons team, a lot of young players trying to learn on the fly. No Smith in uniform today. No Clay Arnold in uniform today. And no Calvin Lee. That's a lot to ask, as those three guys were going to be first team options on the offense, and instead all three guys standing on the sideline unable to help out this youthful offense for the Beacons, who have scored just 4 times today and have turned the ball over a little bit more frequently than I think Tyler Lowe and Anthony Fitty would be happy with. Jack Dillon badgering Lindos on the far side, unable to force the turnover. Up top, it's Maxwell Morris. Below the net, Russo working with it over to Stone, still sitting on 2 goals. Up top, it's Riley. Riley with the left-hand cradle. Back for Stone. Stone faked the pass. Nearly got me and the defender, but Tortora able to maintain his positioning. Lindos still with it, and he'll send to the far side. Johnson and Wales is much more patient offensively than the Beacons have been as the wind begins to whip a little bit. Temperatures in the 30s, even low 40s today. Rain stopped around noon. That's an easy save for Surette, and he's definitely into double digits. A career high in saves for Surette, who had made 9 saves on 3 occasions prior today, has at least 10 in this one. There's a long pass into no man's land. Another bad turnover by Beacon's long stick midfielder in tight, and another goal. Sam Sears takes advantage. This Beacons defense may be a little bit youthful as well. That's a turnover you just can't have, and it's the second time today the Beacons have given the ball up in a really bad position after forcing a turnover. It's 9-4 in favor of Johnson and Wales, their biggest lead of the game with 3:54 left in the third quarter. Still tons of time left, but not quite as much time as the Beacons might like. UMass Boston has scored just 7 goals over their last 7 quarters, without a lot of their top offensive options. Ball is loose. Croy Arnold trying to scoop it up and does so the Beacons at least get it back, but he's stripped by the double team. Lost his stick, and it's picked up by a Johnson & Wales player. Throwing it back, where it's picked up by Bradley Morris, and you're Johnson & Wales right now. You're just trying to kill a little clock, set up your offense, and keep doing what you've been doing. They've scored 3 goals in the last 5 minutes to take this 5-goal lead after both teams have been scoreless for the first 7 minutes of the half. UMass Boston had the momentum going into the halftime break after Alex Surette found Adam Caravel just before the buzzer on a full-length field pass that led to a goal to cut it to 6-4. But Johnson and Wales looking to blank the Beacons for the second quarter today. They scored 4 goals in the first. They're up 3 here in the third, make it 4. As Lyons scores at least his third, if not his fourth. And it's 10-4 in favor of Johnson and Wales with 2:53. That's 4 goals scored in a 5-minute span, and Max Stone picks up the assist. Wonder if and when Tyler Lowe will use his timeout. His team trailing by 6 here. Their 3-0 mark at home certainly looks in peril. He said this Johnson & Wales team was better than they were a year ago when Johnson & Wales defeated the Beacons in Providence by a 10-9 score, handing UMass Boston their first loss after a 6-0 start. And this Beacons team certainly does not have the offensive experience, and they're probably even a little bit less skilled offensively than a year ago when UMass Boston had Matthew Duggan back for his sophomore year, Connor Smith in his first year, and Calvin Lee in his first year, along with a lot of other guys. Beacons lost Dino Flora. The Beacons lost a couple of other players that are, for some reason, right on the tip of my tongue and not coming out. But UMass Boston lost 9 of their top 10 scorers if you count Lee as unavailable. That shot goes wide, and a lot of those guys were seniors. It was a big senior class last year, and this team is still adjusting. Picked 4th in the conference, it certainly could happen, but the Beacons are going to need to get healthy first. No Clay Arnold, no Connor Smith, no Calvin Lee. 3 big losses offensively. DP Trantonio comes up with the ground ball and then absorbs a big hit from Sam Sears. Ball is still loose. That was actually Lindos who laid the lumber on DP Trantonio. We're going to get an infraction on the Beacons as they picked up the loose ball. 1:42 to go. Johnson & Wales has outscored the Beacons 4-0 in the first, 4-0 in the third. It's a big reason why they're winning 10-4 overall. Johnson & Wales looking to improve to 2-1 all-time against UMass Boston, and looking to start this year at 5-2. Just a 4th-year program, taking big steps forward. A hard shot from Lindos that goes wide, and he's forced to the turf as Jack Dillon finishes off the play and knocks him to his butt. It'll stay with Johnson & Wales. Russo, stutter stepping to his right, being guarded by Gaddam. Finds a player coming off a pick, and the shot from Stone goes wide. The jump shot couldn't find the angle. 75 seconds left in the quarter. The Beacons trailing by 6. Beacon gets up under the armpit there of Sam Sears, and they're going to get called for it. Robert Ranta caused a turnover, but I think it was the continuation of the play, pushing him hard to the turf. It's going to be a holding call. 30-second penalty on Ranta. That's an interesting one. By most definitions of holding in most sports, it didn't look like he had physical control of and was gripping the player, but I guess they determined that the lift of the player was enough for a holding. Up top, Lions looking for another one. Surette gets the stick on it, and it goes out of bounds. UMass Boston looking to keep Johnson & Wales from getting a man-up goal. A couple of Johnson & Wales players were pretty happy as the ball went through the uprights. Fortunately, that's not the sport we're playing tonight. Ball goes through. Lyons makes the nice pickup, and he scores. Thomas Lyons is having himself a night. Another goal for the sophomore out of Burlington, Massachusetts. He had goals in each of his last 5, and he has 4, maybe 5 here, including a couple in a row. It's 11-4 in favor of the Wildcats with 18.5 seconds left. Johnson & Wales scores a man-up goal, and right now the Beacons, well, maybe just looking on tuning up for Tuesday against Bowdoin and getting ready for conference play next Saturday, as this one has gotten a little bit out of control here in quarter number 3. UMass Boston outscored 5-0 now. Dillon off the face-off win, looking to get one back, shoots and scores. Jack Dillon out of Warwick, Rhode Island, scores against the team from his home state. And the Beacons are on the board here in the third quarter. At least making it a bit more respectable as a 5-1 deficit in the third. UMass Boston scored 0 in the first, 4 in the second, 1 in the third. They trail 11-5 overall. Still 27.7 seconds left. Hypothetically, you could get 1 if not 2 more if you can win these draws and win them efficiently. It's who else? Guzzo and Murphy, the bouncing ball, and it's picked up by Farrell. Can Johnson & Wales answer right back? They have the time to do so. Under 20 seconds left. Farrell stutter steps around Dillon. Farrell behind the cage. Near side for Stone with 9. Stone still up top into the stick of Riley, far side for Farrell. Farrell back near side. Stone can't quite handle it. Needs to turn and shoot. Sends it wide. And that'll do it for the quarter as he gets sent to his butt by Derek D.P. Trantonio. And that'll do it for 3 quarters of play. UMass Boston trails 11-5 as Johnson and Wells scores 5 goals in the quarter. The Beacons get one late one to cut it back to a 6-goal deficit. We head to the fourth. The Beacons need a big comeback as they need to score more goals in the fourth than they've scored all game long to date. 11 for Johnson and Wales, just 5 for your UMass Boston Beacons. Off the face-off to start, quarter number 4, Matt Murphy wins it, gets the ground ball, finds Dillon, already has one, scored the last goal for UMass Boston near side. Christensen can't find it, ball is still loose, in and out of the stick of a long stick defenseman, and coming over to pick it up is Riley. Riley ahead, 2-on-1 chance, Russo tucking around top of the circle, saves Surette. Alex Surette has had a great game despite the scoreboard. He's given up 11 goals, but Alex Surette has easily had one of, if not the best game of his collegiate career. He has kept the Beacons in this one. He's had at least 11 saves, if not a couple more. And part of the Beacons' defensive issues has just been they haven't been able to hold on to the ball enough and sustain their opportunities. They've turned it over quickly, especially here in the second half. And now you see UMass Boston slowing it down. Beacons had too many men in the offensive end, and that's the infraction and the turnover. That's a sloppy one, and now we've got a infraction on Johnson Wales to give the ball right back. So the Beacons will take that, and now Holmes can't handle the pass, and the Beacons turn it over. This is frustrating. Croy Arnold's going to be whistled for the slash. Johnson and Wales, though, still controls. Johnson and Wales in tight. Alex Surette the save. Doesn't realize the flag has been thrown, and the Beacons will go a man down. This is just really sloppy lacrosse. Croy Arnold's going to go to the penalty area for a minute for slashing, as it was a frustration play by Croy. Thought he had a good pass for Holmes, but it went in and out of the pocket, and the Beacons gave it back. He has a long conversation here with Anthony Fitty. Johnson and Wales scored on their last man-up opportunity. Didn't have one in the first half. That one bounces high. Not quite sure if Surette got a piece of it as it went towards the backstop. Sears over for Stone, who's been sitting on 2 goals since about the first 5 minutes of this game. Johnson and Wales 11, UMass Boston 5. Whipping a shot high and wide is Lindos. Would not want to be a lacrosse goalie. Even on a night like tonight where it's a little bit warmer and the elements aren't that bad, these shots are coming in so hard. Here's another high riser, and it goes just wide. Surette has made 11, and best case scenario, you get your stick on it, but if it catches any part of your body, that's going to leave a welt. Pass up top, bounces all the way through. A battle right at the 50-yard line, bounces through. And we're going to get a stoppage against Johnson and Wales. Caraveau controls on the far side. Caraveau looking for Tortora, read perfectly by Johnson and Wales. The player with the steal that time was Farrell. Farrell bouncing it around. Johnson and Wales almost gives it back, and they do. Sam Sears can't make the catch. Now DP Trantonio tries to run through a player, loses the ball in the process, but the Beacons will keep control. Back and forth lacrosse there. It wasn't necessarily great lacrosse, but it was slightly entertaining with some big hits and some turnovers. Tortora trying to avoid the player racing back to get him. We're going to get a foul coming against Johnson and Wales. The Beacons will go a man up. Caraveau behind the net. Finds Holmes in tight. He scores. The Beacons get one back, and more importantly, the first of the quarter, cutting the deficit to 5. 11-6 now, Johnson and Wales lead. As Holmes picks up his second goal. Caraveau another point. He has had a nice game with 2 goals and a couple of assists. And we're going to see a Johnson and Wales penalty. It's going to be number 13, Sam Sears. Not sure what the penalty is for, but the Beacons will go a man up. They're still going to do the face-off, but we're going to see a different man in the face-off X for the first time. Guzzo's not in there. Instead, it'll be TJ Consiglio. So we're going to get 19 versus 9, and they're just going to give it to the Beacons, which is what I assume. That's how man-ups normally start. Murphy over for Christensen. It's a 1-minute penalty, I believe, so Beacons can take their time. They do need to score here, though. Still down by 5. You don't have to score 3 goals in a hurry, but you have to get a goal every 2 minutes or so. It's a slashing penalty. 1-minute penalty against Johnson and Wales. Near side. Shot goes off of either the stick or the back post there from Caraveau, and it'll stay with the Beacons. Madden too high for Croy Arnold. Another sloppy turnover. This has got to be frustrating for the Beacons coaching staff. They're creating some of the looks they want, but just some sloppy passing as Russo couldn't quite handle that one, but got a piece of it, slowed it down, and there were no Beacons in the vicinity as the penalty has not expired yet on Johnson and Wales. Bouncing his way through is Stone, trying to avoid the pressure from the Beacons. And Stone still holding on to it. He gets the successful clear attempt, and now we're back to even strength. The Beacons waste the man-up opportunity getting just the one look, and now there's too many men in the offensive zone against Johnson and Wales. And Jack Dillon's going to take the room that he's being given. 3 Johnson and Wales players trailing. Christensen in tight, sends it wide, and they're going to rule the ball will stay with the Beacons. Caraveau out racing Morris to keep the ball with the team in white. 10:57 left in the fourth quarter. UMass Boston trails by 5. Still trying to dig themselves out of a 4-0 deficit after the first quarter. Johnson and Wales outscored the Beacons 5-1 in the third. Croy Arnold looking for his first. The save from Morris. Odd bounce. Ends up being a fortuitous bounce for the Beacons as Caraveau picked up the ground ball. UMass Boston setting it up here. Matten playing catch with Mulligan. Mulligan had 2 the other night, still looking for his first tonight. Finds Caraveau behind the net, near side for Matten. Matten up top for Holmes. He has a pair of goals. 10:19 left. The deficit is 5. Matten will look to work with it. Looking for a left-handed shot. A nice save from Morris. That one looks to have caught him in a bad place as he was a bit slow to get up. Still wincing. And it's going to stay with the Beacons. Not quite sure what the infraction was there, but Morris was slow. That might have caught him on the knee. Somewhere where it's not fun no matter what the temperature is. Far side, Arnold. Back to the near side with Matten. Matten just had that shot that came in low and hard on Morris. Now it's Holmes looking for an angle behind the net. Finds Christensen. He had a good start to this one. Looking for the turnaround bounce shot. Bounces over the net. His teammates jumping up and down, hoping that would go in. Still a 5-goal deficit with 9:36 to go, and at this point the Beacons need to start scoring goals a little bit quicker. Holmes looking for the turnaround, gets double team, still working with it, scores, somehow able to hold on to the ball against the double team, turns and with the left hand flings it past Morris. He's got a hat trick, and the Beacons are within 4. Don't go anywhere, folks. UMass Boston looking for the comeback. And once again, we have one of those big face-offs. After the Beacons' last goal, there was no face-off because of the penalty against Johnson and Wales. We've got a face-off violation against the Beacons before they even set up, and that's another mental mistake on UMass Boston. Johnson and Wales was alert to it, indicating to the referees. And the Wildcats will control up by 4. And now you have to expect Johnson and Wales to really try to work slowly. Not quite necessarily stalling and trying to get the shot clock to start, but really not looking for anything until they get a really good look. Going downhill here is Farrell, and he'll fling a shot wide. Still, though, a safe look there with a Johnson and Wales player towing the end line. There was no way the Beacons were going to get that back unless it was saved by Surette. Stone behind the net. DP Trantonio looking to cage him in. The turnaround from Stone, and he scores just under the bar to the near post. A big goal from Stone completing his hat trick, and that pushes the lead back to 5 at 12-7. So an unassisted goal from the team's top goal scorer, Max Stone. Now has 20 on the dot for the season after scoring 46 goals in 20 games last season. That's a pretty good pace to start this year with 20 goals. And has had a hat trick in 6 in a row. Pushes the lead to 5 with 8:45 left. Once again, the clock is not necessarily the Beacons' friend here as the ball's loose in the face-off X. Croy Arnold was in there for a rare time for UMass Boston. Couldn't win it. And it's picked up by Johnson and Wales, Owen Maka. Got a penalty against Croy Arnold, who was chasing Guzzo out. Croy was a little bit frustrated earlier on as he's already kneeling down. The penalty doesn't go into effect until the Beacons get a touch as they force the turnover, and there's the touch. See what the call is it looked like Croy might have fouled a player out of bounds finishing a check. And we're going to see what the official call is, whether this is locked in or not, the length. Either way, it's not good news if you're a UMass Boston Beacons fan as the referee hustles over to the scorer's table. It's a 30-second interference call, so a much bigger hubbub along the sideline than the call may be indicated. Johnson and Wales will work with the man-up. They do have a man-up goal today, but haven't had a great percentage. 7:57 left, leading by 5. They're trying to fake play here, but didn't fool anyone, and Surette makes the save on Farrell. Ahead to the long stick pull. That's Dillon who switched sticks. Dillon leading the charge. Still holds on to it. Couldn't get it out of his pocket as the Beacons are going to effectively kill off the man advantage for Johnson and Wales, and now just doesn't seem like a ton of urgency offensively. Down by 5, you got to push the pace a little bit. Tortora with it. Tortora darting towards the net. His shot saved by Morris. Well, Anthony pushed the pace like I was asking for, but not one of the Beacons' better goal scorers. And Morris showing off why he's one of the better goaltenders in the GNAC. They don't have two-time GNAC goalie of the year J.C. Guido for whatever reason this year. It was just a junior. As Surette makes not one save but 2. And we'll get a infraction against the Beacons. Not going to be a penalty, but it will stay with Johnson and Wales. Alex Surette is having himself a game. 9 saves in the first half, which tied his career high. He's had at least 5 or 6 more here in half number 2. And the freshman showing why if the Beacons can get some of those offensive pieces back and help out this defense, why they could be a threat in the conference. As there's a great play getting a stick in by Murphy, causes the turnover and gets the ground ball. But again, a terrible turnover behind the net. Just nonchalantly tries to get it to Surette. And who else? Eric Russo, the very quick playmaker from behind the net, forced the turnover. That's the 3rd time today that the Beacons have turned it over, trying to get it to Surette or a player behind the net. And Johnson and Wales scored quickly on the first 2. No need to rush here with 6:09 to play. Dillon putting the pressure on Thomas Lyons, who's had himself a phenomenal game with at least 4 goals, if not 5. And now there's a Beacon down. It looks like that is Dillon, who's slow to get up. Back on his feet, and he's going to hobble off as the 2 Beacons trainers come over to attend to him. We'll get a stoppage with 5:59 left. Johnson and Wales 12, UMass Boston 7. We'll take an audio break here on the Beacons Broadcast Network. Dillon managing to get himself off the field, albeit slowly. It looks like he's either cramping badly or has a stinger as he was walking slowly. Russo all the way around as a Johnson and Wales player took a slide on the turf. Going to leave a nice raspberry. Stone with it behind the net. UMass Boston giving him space. He does have a hat trick in this one, but Beacons need to put a little bit more pressure in their man-to-man defense to try to speed up Johnson and Wales and force some turnovers.
Start the shot clock.
Shot clock is on for what I believe is the first time all season here. The Beacons are going to be called for the penalty, but Johnson and Wales keeps control. They've already had 1 shot. That one goes off the back of the post, and here we'll get the man-up advantage. The shot clock turned off, and it's going to be another slash on the Beacons. See who's the guilty party is. Jack Dillon was racing back out. They're going to send him off. Said it'll be Aiden Pugsley on for the first time. And the guilty party is going to be Matt Murphy, the long stick pull. And they are going to reset the shot clock. So the shot clock still in effect. It's a man-up opportunity. So Johnson and Wales has an extra man out there. They should be able to get a shot off. It just means that they need to. Russo behind the net, working with 4:45 left. Johnson and Wales has done a nice job killing the clock here in this 4th quarter. The Beacons were down 6-4 at the end of the first half. They've been outscored 6-3 here in the second half. Up top, and it's Lyons once again. Thomas Lyons scores the man-up goal, and UMass Boston finds themselves down 13-7 as Dillon will hobble back out.
Johnson and Wales goal scored by number 27, Thomas Lyons. That'll be his 5th for the night.
5 goals on the night for Thomas Lyons. That's the story. Lyons came in with 10 goals, tied for 3rd on the team. A season high 5th goal. He's got 15. Behind only Stone, who has 20 with his 3 goals, and Eric Russo, who came into the day with 16 and has 1 or 2. Guzzo, another face-off win against Clay Arnold here. Both of those guys are heading to the sideline. There's no contact this time.
From there on out. You don't have to use the second switch. So when you turn the shot clock off,
Behind the net,
the switch down.
it's Hillenbrand. Hillenbrand being guarded by UMass Boston's Matt Pino, who's seen a bit more time here in the second half. Out top, Johnson and Wales continuing to play slowly here. No need to push, up by 6 with under 4 minutes to play. DP Trantonio trying to keep the smaller player there. Chance in tight, and that shot must have caught some of Surette, who got a piece of it. One-on-one with Sam Sears, and a big save from Alex. 3:33 to play in what is going to be Johnson & Wales' 5th win of the season. The Beacons going to fall to 3-3, 3-1 here at home. In tight, it's Stone. Another save from Alex Surette. This freshman out of Melrose, Mass. has played so well. Not only a dozen or more saves, but also an assist as the Beacons nearly turn it over in a bad spot. Ball is still loose at midfield. Dillon working for it, picks it up with a long pull. He's being slowed down there, and he's going to draw the penalty against Johnson and Wales. Play is still live right now. As behind the net, working with it is Caraveau. Christensen, a high riser, the save by Morris, and now it will be Maxwell Morris, the other Morris on this Johnson & Wales team, heading to the penalty area. Maxwell, a freshman out of Suffield, Connecticut, the defender. Bradley, the goalie, a freshman goalie out of Bayport, New York.
30 seconds for a hold.
Not brothers, probably not even relatives, but they do share the same surname and the same year at Johnson & Wales. Holmes and Caraveau back and forth, and Holmes just flings it high. That's where Bradley is so successful. Beacons force the turnover, though, on the outlet pass. Still control a man up. In tight, it's Mulligan looking to get a turn. Mulligan falls to the turf, and picking it up is Bradley Morris. He gets a ground ball. He's had a nice game as well. 2:20 to go in a game that has been played extremely evenly in the goalie matchup. Johnson & Wales just a little bit more offensive firepower today. The Wildcats control still in their defensive end. Beacons putting a lot of pressure here. A triple team on a Johnson & Wales player. Somehow able to hold on to the ball is Stone. Now a fourth player comes in and knocks it loose. Caraveau picks it up, being badgered by a defender, and UMass Boston will create the turnover. That's actually Christensen with it. Takes a low shot, and another save from Bradley Morris. The Beacons just so desperate to get the shots off at this point that they're making it really easy for Bradley Morris to anticipate the angle as a Wildcat splits the double team. We're going to get a stoppage and a timeout from Johnson & Wales. Minute 33 to go. Johnson & Wales leads 13-7. We'll take a stoppage and bring you the final 93 seconds of action here from James Cotter Field. Team slowly trudge back out onto the turf. It'll be Johnson & Wales ball in the offensive zone with a minute 33 left. The Wildcats used a big 4-0 first quarter and a 5-1 third quarter to blow this game out. Beacons trailed 11-5 after the third. They outscored Johnson & Wales 4-2 in the second. It's 2-2 here in the fourth, but really those odd-numbered quarters are going to haunt UMass Boston in this one as they're going to drop to 3-1 at home. Stone looking, actually that was Farrell potentially looking for an angle, but there's no need if you're Johnson and Wales here. You're just trying to kill off the clock and pick up what would be a big win for the Wildcats as they look to move to 5-2. Last year, game over 500, trying to take another step forward in their program's progression. Johnson and Wales, one last game before conference play starts next Saturday. They're going to start a 4-game homestand of their own. They host Salve Regina Tuesday night at 7, another team out of Rhode Island. And then Riviere next Saturday in their GNAC opener before hosting Regis and Anna Maria. For UMass Boston, this is game 2 of their 4-game homestand as the ball's loose at midfield. It'll be an offsides on Johnson and Wales and a stoppage with 36.4 left. The Beacons host Bowdoin, a top 10 team to start the country, who's 2-2 after a pair of losses against top 10 teams. That'll be a Tuesday night game at 7:15, and then they host Western Connecticut State next Saturday at 3 in their LEC opener. Got a stoppage with 21.1, and the Beacons are going to huddle up and try to get a late goal, try to work on some execution right here. As with 21.1 seconds down by 6, the goal is not to get the 6 goals that you would need to tie and force overtime, but really just to take a step forward in your progressions. Beacons offense huddling up around Anthony Fitty. Tyler Lowe talking to the defense and the goalie, and there's 13 goals up on the board against the Beacons, but really this team can take some pride. They've had the ball in their own defensive end for much of the game. They're facing a Johnson and Wales team that returned a lot of really good offensive players that has some pretty good chemistry. And UMass Boston on both sides of the ball, there's a lot of guys who are still learning how to play together. Defensively, the Beacons did return Jack Dillon and Jim Ganem, but they lost Brandon Lovely. They lost a couple of other good defenders from a year ago. And then offensively, this is a whole new-looking squad with no Connor Smith and Calvin Lee, both guys injured. Smith on Tuesday. Beacons team has not been able to operate as efficiently as I think Anthony Fitty and Tyler Lowe would like. Down to 11 seconds left in the game. Holmes up top for Madden. The Beacons need to get a shot off here with 6 seconds left. Madden up top needs to get the ball out of his stick for Croyarner with 2. Needs to get a shot off near side. Holmes whips it way high. No chance of getting that one on cage. And the final, Johnson and Wales 13, UMass Boston 7. We'll take a short audio break, bring you the final statistics and a look ahead and give a shout out to our production crew before wrapping up here from Boston. Your final, Johnson and Wales 13, UMass Boston 7 here on the Beacons Broadcast Network. Welcome back to Boston. We'll bring you through the final statistics right now. A little bit lopsided in favor of the Wildcats, 60-31 in shots. Johnson and Wales just piling them on in the second half. It was 31-18 at half. 19 saves for Alex Surette, a new career high. Another big game for Bradley Morris, who picked up 15 saves today while giving up just 7 goals, as he has now made 67 saves while giving up just 42 goals in his last 4 games. Faceoffs pretty close, 13-9 in favor of the Wildcats, 19 turnovers on the Beacon side. They did force 15 of them. UMass Boston an 0-for-4 day on the man up. Johnson and Wales 1-for-6. Take a look ahead for UMass Boston. A big one coming up against the NESCAC powerhouse against Bowdoin on Tuesday at 7:15, and they'll then host Western Connecticut State 3 p.m. next Saturday, and then on the road at Wheaton College at Eastern Connecticut State. The road does not get much easier for this Beacons team. They do hope to get a little healthier going forward. You certainly hope to see Connor Smith and Clay Arnold back in the lineup after being injured on Wednesday, and Calvin Lee hopefully back sooner rather than later after suffering an injury late in preseason. I'd like to take a moment to thank our production crew. My name is Seth Rensky, your producer and play-by-play guy. Rachel Maslak and Alyssa Fugel, your directors. Sarah Alenardo on camera. UMass Boston falls 13-7 to Johnson and Wales on a Friday night. They'll be right back at it on Tuesday. Check in on the Beacons Broadcast Network starting at about 7:05 as the Beacons host Bowdoin College, the Polar Bears out of Maine.